everybody, welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown. So we start as usually at the DXY. And what we were forecasting last week was that the DXY could go to the upside, which it did previous week. And we saw here that daily retrace candle retracing from that weekly liquidity zone. If I go to the weekly, this I see this red candle between all the blue candles here is a liquidity zone for the banks to go to the upside. If I go back to the daily, then I was forecasting that we had a first leg here, second leg, third leg, potential fourth leg, till this daily supply and demand zone here, which is acting as clear resistance, here clear support, potential clear resistance again. This is our bearish W and aligning with this descending trend line. So what I expect this upcoming week is still a push to the upside till this daily first point of structure, this daily supply and demand zone, and from there on we will see if you have a pattern because the 4 hour is still bullish here. You have a high here, low, new high, low, new high. This is a clear bullish M. We are in an uptrend, so the market will go normally to the upside. If I go to the weekly, on the weekly, we can see we have a 1 out of 4 for that short, which is not followed by our criteria. And that's because we normally don't trade 1 out of 4. But I can see we have still this weekly sellers here sitting, this resistance that could be here that false break, which is a nice supply and demand. So I'm acting here as support, resistance, support, false break resistance, here support, resistance. So it's clear supply and demand zone that can hold here also. So then we have a 2 out of 4 if we tap that zone. So what is against us? We have that fib from this low here till this high is against you. So the fib is against you, the candle close, this blue candle is against you for that short, and the supply and demand zone for now is against us, this one. So that's what I can see on the DXY. If I go to my first pair, AUD which is aligning, if the DXY go to the upside, AUD will go to the downside. On the daily, I can see we have a pattern within a pattern. For me, it's a big one for now. So we have our shoulder one, the first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. Within that, a shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, pattern within a pattern. With that, aligning the daily liquidity zone, acting as support. We can see bulls are starting to kick in. Bulls again, bulls again, bulls again. Here, clear resistance, sellers, clear support, resistance. So this can become also a support region. So this is our pattern within a pattern. And the nice thing to see is also some resistance in the head. This is our head. This gives us some resistance. So this makes it a nice supply and demand zone. And also you can see here a smaller bullish M also within it aligning. So it's nice to see that also aligning with the ascending trend line holding the price potentially up here. We could also see a clear impulse and a potential A, B, C correction, a waveform. And the thing we need to be careful for is when we are in this trade here at this zone and we tap this daily IC that we are not looking anymore here, this IC here, this blue one, that we are not looking anymore at any trade because here is some liquidity for the banks to go back short, aligning here with this selling zone. This one, sellers kicking in here. If you drew it further, also here, sellers. So this is an important region that I see if we trade it to the upside. If I go over the weekly now, what can I see on the weekly? We have our fib still for us. So we have our fib from this low till this high that can still work for us potentially. But yeah, we have a small close below, so I will take this fib from this low till this high. This is still working for you. And the fib against us is just not tapping yet. You can see it didn't tap yet that fib, so it's clearly still working for the bulls for now. So we can see the trend is also bullish. We have our low, high, low, new high. This is clearly still bullish. This can be your first time break here of these lows. So this is for me still a bullish trend, just an indication that we can go to the downside. So the trend is for me bullish. Candle close. This red candle is bearish, and then the fib is for us bullish. So we have a 2 out of 4, and the supply and demand some potentially here working for you here. This can work as clear support, support, resistance, resistance, support, support here. So on that trade, I will wait for that 4 hour pattern, not just limit, because we can see our weekly candle close is closing below this previous structure high from that weekly, which can act as resistance here, which is also a small supply demand zone here, and we can go till this weekly low. So that's why I want to wait for a pattern there on the 4 hour. As you can see on the 4 hour, we are now making lower lows, lower highs. So I expect here a deceleration, inwards and a shoulders, potential bullish M, something like that. So this is the trade I'm looking at. And the next one, USDJPY. On the daily chart, you can see we have a potential pattern within a pattern. Shoulder one here, then the head, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg coming back already. A pattern within a pattern. For me, it's a big one. And we can see a nice resistance here with nice support in this head here, same highs, and a nice support week. So this is supply and demand zone. And if we look further, this is also some resistance, support, support, false break, support, resistance here. So this is your liquidity zone here, where we can go back to the downside. If we go to the weekly, you can see that the weekly is still bullish. There is the GPY. Why? Because we had here our low, our high, and we made here a new low. These are the same lows, so this is a first time break. I see the trend still bullish. And potentially we have here also this bullish M here holding the price up here, going to the upside. As you can see on the line charts, can be your bullish M also. So what trade can we take here? We can take the short, the daily, pattern within a pattern. And on the weekly, for going short, we have 2 out of 4. The fib from this high to this low can potentially work for you. And the supply and demand acting here as resistance, support, support weak, potential resistance here. Which one can work for you? So 2 out of 4 for me. So the daily was clear. I want to see here the touch, and we can also see we have an impulse, and this can be a more corrective state of the market. You can see it already on the daily, it's going slower to the upside. And on the 4 hour, you can see it's moving slower to the upside, and potentially we can make here a pattern. I want to see here a diesel or a head and shoulder, something like that. We'll see what we'll have there. Then the next one, Euro NZT on the daily, a potential pattern within a pattern, a continuation. And we can see this was just a false break of this previous higher low here. And we made after that a bullish M, within that a shoulder one here, head, shoulder two with resistance in the head. This is your clear supply and demand zone here. This one acting here as resistance. Nice push to the downside, support, resistance weak, support, resistance, support, potentially again support. That's why what I'm expecting. This is for me a small pattern. So actually you can take your limit if we are not coming that aggressively back. So this is a trade Euro NZD. And on the weekly, what can we see there? We have a potential supply and demand zone working for us. This one potentially working for us. This is an IC which can become here resistance, potentially support, acting as support, resistance here, support, support, resistance. For me, that's a nice liquidity zone where we can go to the upside. So the supply and demand zone is working for us. The fib from this low till this high is still working for you. This is actually a monthly fib. Also, this fib from this low till this high can also work for you. And this is also here a smaller bullish M fib that can also work for you. This one from the low till the high here aligning. So the fib is also working for you. And the candle close this one really impulsive to the upside working for you. Market structure still in an uptrend. M bullish impulsive, impulsive correction, impulse, correction, impulse, potential correction, impulse. So 4 out of 4 for me because I count my supply and demand zone already for me there. And on the 4 hour, we can see the trend is going to the upside. So we need to have here a shift of this. I'm making here shoulder 1 here, head shoulder 2 potentially, like that to go to the downside. Then the next one, Cadjpy on a daily. What can we see? We can have a potential bearish W, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. The price is coming correctively back. So we can potentially expect uh, a 4 hour, this 4 hour head and shoulders, just a pattern, not a deceleration because we are coming correctively back. And we have here also that nice supply and demand zone acting as resistance, resistance, support, potential resistance. We have here first leg, second leg, third leg. So we have a waveform ABC correction, ABC, nice. If we drew the fib from this low here till this high, we have a minus 6080 fib completion aligning with the supply and demand zone, so which is nice. If I go to the weekly, on the weekly, we have a potential 2 out of 4. We have that fib from this high till this low that is working for you, potentially aligning with the shoulder 1. So we have a potential weekly shoulder 1, head shoulder 2. And this is a nice selling zone acting as resistance here, resistance, resistance, support, weak resistance, nice supply and demand zone. Then it will be a 2 out of 4. The trend is still against you because this is our major bullish M. And here also we have here the bullish M. We have here a first small fake out. We have here a false break potentially because we are closing just at this lows here. So this can potentially be, yeah, it's acting here. Yeah, it's just closing below it. So yeah, it's not really a false break yet, but it can potentially be. Then the daily was clear. I will go to the 4 hour. And on 4 hour, you can see it. The price is moving correctively to the upside. Instead of this one, you can see impulsive. Here it's more corrective trading in this channel to the upside. This this trade is clear. Then we will go to the last one, Audcad. This one was also from previous week. Still a clear setup for me. For me, this is our bullish M, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. Within that, we have a nice supply and demand zone acting as resistance, support here, resistance, resistance here, resistance. This is a clear liquidity zone where we can go grab liquidity to go to the daily minus 27. And we can also see we have here an impulse and a clear A, B, C correction. And the thing we need to notice is that we have here a daily IC sitting in between. So if we trade here the trade and we want to take scale-ins, it's important that we will not look anymore till this trade if we tap this daily IC. Okay, so the daily bullish M is a trade we want to take. Ascending trend line holding the price up. First touch, second touch, potential third touch, aligning there. And if I go to the weekly now, we can see on the weekly we have a potential 3 out of 4. And why is that? We have still a bullish trend. We have a low, high, low, high. This is your bullish M. And we respected this weekly liquidity zone, weekly supply and demand zone, and we went to the upside, and now we are making this bullish M, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. You can see clear impulse correction, and this is nice because we have an IC here, and I put the horizontal line at this IC, and we can see this is acting as clear support. Support when we are above it, when we are below it as resistance here, as resistance, potentially as small resistance here and support here. If you look further back, also here, resistance, support, nice push. Here again, support. So for me, it's a supply momentum that can hold the price up, aligning with that I see. So the trend is for us. The candle close, this red candle is against us. The fib from this low to this high is still working for you. And the supply and demand zone potentially here at this daily zone is working for us. So a 3 out of 4, we can take the trade. And if I go to the 4 hour, we can see the price is coming back in lower lows, lower highs. And that's what we want to see, that we can go to this zone. So I hope you liked it and see you next week. Bye. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown. So we start at the XY as usually, and last week, what did we saw on the XY was we had here a bullish M impulse, first leg, correction, second leg, impulse, third leg, correction, potentially fourth leg, with a fifth leg to the upside, which we didn't do because that weekly was closing below this weekly high horizontal line. So we can see we have a new low. This was our previous low, high. We made a new low. So for me, the trend is indicational bearish, but what I can see is we are trading below the supply and demand zone on the daily. We acted here as support, resistance, false break, potentially acting as resistance here. And we can look further. We can see this is acting also as support here, support, resistance, resistance. This is a clear supply and demand zone that can hold the price down. And I don't expect that the price will come to the shoulder one region because we need to first break above the supply and demand zone. So breaking above the supply and demand zone, going correctively like this, and have your impulse, and here that correction here, and then we can make this potential shoulder one, head shoulder two here for more downside momentum. But for now, I don't expect to touch that zone. If I go to the weekly, on the weekly, you could see we have a clear impulse, correction impulse, and this is your A, B, C correction. New action was made of these highs here, and we grabbed liquidity from that monthly shoulder one zone where we went to the downside. And the nice thing to see is on that weekly that we are closing below this weekly higher low, lower high here. You can see we had a weekly bearish candle closing below that, and now we are acting as resistance closing below it again. For me, this is a sign that it's holding as a supply and demand and acting as resistance, and we can go to the downside to potentially make here a shoulder one, head, shoulder two, within that a first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, bullish pattern within a pattern, and that aligning with that supply and demand zone here, holding the price potentially up to finish this pattern, acting here as resistance, support, resistance here, support, potential support. This is what I can see. And this is nicely forming here. So for me, I think the chances are really big that it will touch this zone. If I go on the monthly, then will be more clearer that you have on the monthly that shoulder one here, this head, shoulder two, we made an impulse till this lows, and we tapped that shoulder one on the monthly, and now the sellers are kicking in. So it's really nice to see. And on the weekly, I have a 2 out of 4 to go to the downside. Is that supply and demand zone here, this highs, we are below it, we are acting as resistance. And this market structure or the trend is still bearish because you had here your bearish W still, and this is your correction. And this is just an indication that we are breaking a little bit above it, but this could be also a false break. So 2 out of 4 to go short. If I go to the daily or 4 hour, you can see on the 4 hour that we are still bearish too. We have this last high here, this last high, low, high, new low. We have this bearish W that is still in play. And you can see from this low, this is all a correction for potentially going to the downside. And you can see the price doesn't break this previous lower high zone. Here it tried to do that, took some new liquidity and we went to the downside. So trend is there still bearish. So I expect potentially a small push to the upside here, acting as resistance, where sellers are kicking in from this zone, these weeks, as you can see, and then we can go to the downside. Then the first trade I'm looking at, Eurnzd USD. For some people, this trade is a more dangerous trade because we grab the liquidity from this weekly head and shoulders. These head and shoulders here, shoulder one, head, shoulder two. But for me, there is a potential setup to go to the upside short term to still tap this daily selling zone. Because what I can see on the daily, if I go to the line chart, you can see clearly here a first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, potential fifth leg till this daily TP or weekly zone again or daily selling zone. And within that, we have a shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, and we have a daily bullish candle close on the daily, and we have the daily supply and demand zone. So if I go to the candle chart again, you can see we have here on that shoulder one a supply and demand zone acting as support here, buyers. When we are closing above, here again buyers, buyers, false break, buyers. Then here buyers went to the upside. When we are closing above it, we act as buyers. Here as resistance, nice wick. And if I look more further, you can see here again buyers upside, resistance, resistance, here again resistance. So for me, that is a clear supply and demand zone that can hold the price up. And the only thing some people will find this is impulsive, but this was making in how many days? This impulse was around 8 days, and now we are also around 8 days. So for me, that's good to go for that long. And yeah, the daily candle close was for me the indication, okay, the bulls are there. We can have a next bullish candle potentially. So on that weekly, you can see, yeah, it's a 2 out of 4. And why I set my supply and demand zone for us, because I put a horizontal line on this daily supply and demand zone, and I can see this was clear buyers. This week we had buyers. Then when we are above it, we act as support buyers. We're acting as resistance here a little bit, here acting as buyers with a nice wick. And here again, when we are closing above it, we acting as support buyers. Here also again buyers. So for me, that's a clear zone. And if I look more further back, we had here also some resistance here. And here nice wick buyers. And here again nice wick sellers. Sellers here. And you can see it's also a nice zone where the buyers can kick in from. So for me, that's a supply and demand zone that can work for us. And the trend is also still bullish because we had an indicational first time break of these lows. This was your high, and then we had a new low. This is an indicational bearish trend to go potentially to the downside. The thing is, the momentum is bearish. So the momentum is here bearish, and this is then the correction A, B, C, then shoulder one, head, shoulder two, potential bearish candle, and now I expect a potential push till this shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, where the price can make some correction till the shoulder one, and then go further to the downside to complete the shoulder one, head shoulder two on the monthly. That's a possibility I can see for now on that weekly chart. And as you look on the monthly, you can see this nice shoulder one is sitting here, this head, shoulder two, and a nice resistance in the head. So if I go back to the daily, I expect that the bulls can be present after this daily bullish candle close, that we can tap this potential selling zone here. After that impulse, we can potentially receive some correction to this zone. And if I go now to the 4 hour, you can see that we have here that shoulder one, this head here, then first leg, second leg, third leg, bullish M within that, a pattern within a pattern. So for me, it's a pattern within a pattern. We can trade this kind of situations. These are high probability setups. We have the ascending trend line. You can also see here small push correction, ABC correction, impulse potential correction again, and then we can go back to the upside to grab here some partials to go break even, and then taking here some huge partials at this major selling zone. As you can see, it respects a lot of times here. Sellers, 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 again, sellers, sellers. So this can potentially act here again as sellers, and as you can see also here that support. So it's a supply and demand zone here holding the price potentially back to the downside. So then the next one, AUD and ZD on the daily. What I expect is we have here our first leg, second leg correction, third leg impulse, fourth leg potential correction because the price is tired. It's the bulls are getting out of the market at the supply and demand zone, and the sellers are potentially kicking in. And we have here a clear supply and demand zone acting as support, 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 resistance, potential resistance, and it's slowing down here. So I expect a potential move to the downside and a potential shoulder one, then head shoulder two to take the hedge here back to the upside. So this is our bearish W. If I go to the weekly, you can see on the weekly we have here a strong buying zone. This is a really strong buying zone. As you can see also here, strong buyers, resistance, strong buyers, false break. So there are some buyers present and we respected that with a weekly bullish candle close. And we have that momentum we had was bearish, impulse, then here bearish candle, again bullish candle. So the momentum is still here bearish, but it's a little bit changing because that weekly bullish candle close was sitting here. So what I did was I put a horizontal line on this daily supply and demand zone. And what I saw was we had here some support, nice support wick from the previous structure, which can act as resistance, which we had here resistance wick. And if I look, we had here also some support, false break, support. And if I look further back, support. Here it's not the clearest one, but if I look more further, this was clear resistance, resistance, support, support, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. And then, yeah, this is a clear supply and demand, so holding the price potentially back to the downside like that. So the daily was clear. We have that potential bearish W that can play out till the shoulder one here, head shoulder two. And on the 4 hour, what I want to see on the 4 hour, we had this previous high, low, then we had here new high, low, high. So for me, this is the bullish M that is in play. And if we can break that impulsively with an impulsive move, then I'm looking till this shoulder one here, head, shoulder two. That's what I'm looking at. Then Euro GPY on that daily. So last week we were bullish on the Euro GPY and we are changing from momentum. So we had here a previous higher low, higher high, we made a new low, and this is an impulsive move. So the momentum is changing from bullish to bearish. And we have a pattern within a pattern. Shoulder 1 here, head, shoulder 2 within that, a bearish W, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, which is a high potential setup with support in the head here, which is a supply and demand, so that can hold the price down. If I go to the weekly, on that weekly, we had a 2 out of 4 to go for that short. We have this weekly selling zone that can push the price to this previous structure high here, previous structure resistance that can become support here, which we didn't tap yet. And we have also our fib, the fib from this high here till the low. We have a minus 27 fib completion with a doji candle, which is bearish, so we can expect next also a potential bearish candle. So the daily was clear. We have a pattern in a pattern. So on the 4 hour, what I can see on the 4 hour is a potential shoulder 1 here, head support in the head, potential shoulder 2 here. With that, a first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, pattern within a pattern, we can go to the downside. This is what I can see for Euro right now. And this is my SMB for upcoming week with some two trades and the USD on the weekly that can some people see as a dangerous trade. But for me, it's a pattern within a pattern here. We can see that short momentum from the bulls kicking in. Also on AOD and ZD, where we kicked in from that weekly major buyers, but we have still the supply and demand zone here on that daily that can hold the price down and potentially make that daily inverted and shoulders. So I wish you a really good trading week and see you next week. Bye, guys. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new weekly review. Today I will go over Usdjpy, which was a break even for me last week. I will go over the daily, weekly, and 4 hour. The charts are open. And what could we see on the daily? We had a clear bullish M, first leg, second leg, third leg, A, B, C correction or a waveform. So this is a bullish M with an IC. This is the IC. Between all the red candles, you have one blue candle, which is working like a magnet where the price can reject on, where the institutions have enough liquidity to go to the downside, which we did there. Then what could we trade? Because you had first here the first trade, which I didn't took because I was targeting the shoulder 1 region here, but we could take the bullish M on the 4 hour and then we could take the scale in. So if I go over the weekly now, on the weekly we have a clear 3 out of 4. The trend is for us. Low, high, low, high. We have a clear bullish M sitting here and this is the trend for us. Candle close. This red candle was against us. So this is against us. And then the fib from this low potential till this high can work for you, or this low till this high can also work for you. Potentially, you have two fibs that are working for you. Then the supply and demand zone, this one. This is a clear smaller bullish M, first leg, second leg, correction, third leg, impulsive, fourth leg. Here, coming back till this weekly higher low here, where we can have some liquidity acting as resistance here, resistance, resistance weak to the downside, resistance to the downside, and further we had also some clear buyers also. So that's the supply and demand zone that got triggered after we hit it here, this zone. So 3 out of 4 for that long. And then on the 4 hour, what could we see? We didn't took this entry. I was targeting the shoulder 1 region here where I took my limit and we didn't trigger here. So that was a mistake of me. I needed to took my limit on this bullish M first structure. And then we could go to the upside and have 2.5%. So I didn't do that. Then I was seeking for that scale in trade because we had still some room till that daily IC where my horizontal black line was on it. So we had here our first leg here, clear break of structure, second leg, third leg, fourth leg going back to the first point of structure here. And we went to the upside till the 4 hour minus 27 aligning there with my daily IC. So we went break even after touching the 4 hour minus 27. We weren't running yet 2.5%. So that's why this trade, yeah, was coming back. I didn't took partials because I wasn't running 2.5%, where I closed 2.5% out. So that's the reason. And we went back and we could potentially take a loss if we didn't win break even, but we did it. Then the missed trades were actually a lot of GPY trades. As you can see, four of them, which is a lot. And we know GPY trades, yeah, are really good to trade to the upside. So if I go over this one, Cadjpy, this was a potential hedge position with a 4 hour inverse and shoulders without break of structure. So I will open this trade daily, then weekly, and 4 hour. If I go over the daily, what could we see here? We had a fib completion from this high till this low. Minus 60, 80 fib completion was aligning here with a nice bullish candle close, impulsive candle close to the downside with after that here, that nice retrace candle where we already were in a trade. You could see we had a nice daily supply and demand zone acting as resistance, support here, nice support, buyers, which could potentially hold here also to the upside, which is one of the requirements of this trade, that we have a clean daily supply and demand zone where there can be buy orders sitting. So, and then on the weekly, what did we have there? A very clean supply and demand zone acting as clear resistance here, support, resistance, support. And we had that potential false break of this bullish M here, with this potential false break fake out. And we could also potentially make that shoulder one, head shoulder two, because the hardest thing to do in a market is to switch from momentum. So we can expect a pullback after this liquidity zone was hit, and we grab that liquidity to the upside, potentially going now to the shoulder one, where we can have now some sellers, which we did also here. So this was the weekly 3 out of 4. The trend was still for you. This was your high, low, new high. So this was your clear, bigger bullish M. And also, if you look to the smaller picture, this was also bullish M, but we didn't broke it yet fully. So this was clearly still bullish. This candle close, this red one, was against you last week. So this one was against us. Then the fib from this low, or potentially this low till this high, is still working for you, so we can target this weekly TP still. And then supply demand, so this one was really clear, this is working for you, so we have a 3 out of 4 for that long. And on the 4 hour, what could we see here? A shoulder one, had shoulder two with a small break. We had a small close above this lower high. So this is an inverse and a shoulders without a break. We could take our limit stop loss below the low of the head, and then we could take this trade. And I was analyzing this trade, and what was the thing that was um, scaring me off was this daily previous structure black line. We had resistance on it, and this was a mistake of me. So if I go to the daily, you can see this was your daily structure low here, and I took your horizontal black line, and we tapped it and we acted as support to go to the downside, and then we went back with a 4 hour inverse and shoulders here without a break. So this was scaring me off, but this is actually not a first time break. Here we had a first time break previous structure. This one was a valid one. If we had here that resistance, then we could not stay the trade because we didn't close above it on the 4 hour, or we closed below it on the daily. And now this is not anymore valid to see this as a daily previous structure. So this was a mistake of me that I was confused about, and I didn't took it, but I analyzed it. So yeah, this was actually a trading mistake that I didn't see correctly. Then the second one, CHFGPY, this could be a pullback trade, a first time break trade. I know a lot of traders will not trade this kind of setups, but I backtested it and it works. So what do I mean with the first time break pullback trade? Is the pullback you're counting on to go make head and shoulders or tapping that first previous structure. So here you had a clear low and this was your high. This is all the same high for me, this one. So we broke this previous higher low. We broke it here and we had here a shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, where we could take some liquidity. And on the daily, if I looked back, this was also clear supply and demand. So for me, this was a clear reason to take this trade to the upside because we expected after an impulse, a pullback, which we received till this potentially daily supply and demand. So this is a pullback trade, first time break trade. And on the weekly, we don't need to have all these criteria. I just have here one out of four. It's just a trend. This is your low, this is your high. You have here your clear. Um, yeah, for me, this could be a potential inverse and shoulders, but this was actually a false break of this higher low here. So for me, the trend was still bullish. And this could be also here liquidity zone acting here as resistance, support, resistance, support. So this was a nice zone on the daily actually. And on the 4 hour, this could be your deceleration. First candle, second candle, third candle, blue candle, and you could take your limit on that fourth candle. So we could go to the upside, which we did then 15 pips below the lowest wick, which we were here, our stop loss, so it was safe. And why I didn't took it was because I am in losing week, around 2, 3 weeks in a losing weeks in a row. And I didn't want to take many patterns. I have many patterns that can play out, even pullback trades, first time break trades, big patterns, small patterns, pattern in pattern on a daily, all these patterns, reversal patterns. So I trade them all. But I didn't want to expose myself too much after this losing week. So that's the reason I had this conversation that I don't take this trade. But actually, I could take it, but there were more quality setups than this one to take, like these other GPY pairs. So this could be also 2.5%. So these two Cadjpy, CHGPY could already give me 5%. Then the last one, or not the last one, GPY on the daily. I will close the other screenshots here and I will go over daily, weekly, and 4 hour. So on the daily, on GPY, which trade we could trade here is a big bullish M fake out. So we had a small break of this previous higher low here. We broke it, but we didn't broke the low wick here. We grabbed, I guess, yeah, we grabbed that liquidity a little bit lower. So this was a new action. And this was also an A, B, C correction with a fib completion. If you took your fib from this high till this low, you had a fib completion. So these were all signs that this could be a really nice trade with that weekly nice supply and demand zone where liquidity got taken. So this is a nice zone. And why again was this trade uh, getting me a conversation is for now this daily previous structure is valid to draw. And if I go in a moment to the 4 hour, I will explain it. On the 4 hour, you can see we had here first leg after taking that liquidity here, first leg, second leg, third leg, and we just closed above this daily previous structure on the 4 hour. We had a small close, and I had a big conversation about this that this is valid because it's really small. And yeah, the trade played out. I was analyzing this, but that conversation about the daily previous structure, that it's dangerous to take this kind of setups, was giving me the conversation. Yeah, I don't trade it, but the daily was clean. We had a new action, daily fake out, we had the weekly criteria, we had the high potential trade. So actually this was a good trade. That was the only thing that was sitting against us, that we just closing around that zone. And that's wrong to see it, you know. We have many more positive things than negative. So I could trade this bullish M without break of structure. And this was a trade here, 3% you could take here, but I will close normally around 2.5%. So yeah, and then here on the weekly, you could see this was a high potential trade. The trend is for you. We have a clear impulse correction, impulse correction. We had a nice touch of this previous structure, resistance here, support, support. We had that new action from this weekly previous candle here, and we went to the upside. This was also clear resistance here. So it's a clear supply and demand. And the only thing that was against us was this candle close. So we had the FIB, the trend, and the supply and demand zone for us. So 3 out of 4 high potential trade to take that long. So this was the trade. And then the last one, Cadjpy, is also a trade I could take. If I go over the daily, weekly, and then the 4 hour, this was the last one. This is still running. So this could be then the Cadjpy scaling trade. I didn't took here the Cadjpy trade. Was it? Yeah, I was showing it here. Cadjpy, the first one I didn't take. And then on daily, you could take also here the scaling. This was a scaling trade you could take because we had still room till this potential yeah, supply and demand. So because on the daily it's a retrace trade. You have a FIB completion from this high to this low. You have your minus 6080 FIB completion here, aligning with the daily supply and demand zone, which was here that first trade I was saying. So this was clearly a trade you could take. We had that impulse, and on the 4 hour we had the second trade we could take. So the weekly was here clear. We had a 3 out of 4. I was explaining this. And then on the 4 hour you could see this shoulder 1 had shoulder 2 played out if you were sitting in the straight, and then you had your clear first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. Clear impulse, impulse correction, impulse correction, impulse till that zone of interest where we can go for a short potentially. And if you were sitting in a trade, you could take that scale in, but I wasn't sitting in a trade, and this was already a 2.5% trade. So then I want to take the scale in, but now it was just a more risky trade because I wasn't in the first trade. That's why I didn't took it, with also that losing week taking in count. And you could also see what you could trade was this bullish M, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg. And within that, you had here your shoulder 1 here, head, shoulder 2, which is very nice. And then that's a pattern in a pattern, and that's why we took some liquidity here to go immediately to the upside, which is also now nice zone here, acting as support, support, resistance, support. This is a nice IC, and then here again support to the upside. This was a trade you could take. So you could have this last week around 7.5% if you manage to take 2.5% all the way out every time. So this could be a good week to take some trades. So just some feedback from me for upcoming week. So I hope you liked it and see you next week. Bye.